Okay, so 3 weeks ago, if you had mentioned flat Earth to me, I would say that you were crazy. And I believe that the Earth is spherical, no question about that. I believe that we live on a spherical Earth. But a lot of people are beginning to discuss in the last 3 or 4 months the possibility of a flat Earth. So I want to say just a few things about that possibility. I got stuck 3 weeks ago on the tarmac in New Orleans, and every hour they delayed us for another hour, and we were sitting on the tarmac, and people began to reschedule their flights, and there was a family sitting behind me on the plane that tried to reschedule from New Orleans to Cape Town and could only get flights through Paris, France, that were over 35 hours in that family getting home. Under duress and trying to reschedule their flights, and there was no short hop from Miami down to Rio over to Africa. Not possible. The only way they were going to get home was a 35-hour flight through Paris, France, which on the flat Earth map would be a straight line, but it's way out of line if you're considering that you live on a globe. Another thing that happened around 3 weeks ago was that I began to view Rob Skiba's videos on flat Earth and considering that possibility. And I think his videos are very entertaining. I check into him from time to time. I check in on his videos to see what he's talking about. And just about the same time as he begins to discuss the flat Earth, I'm reminded of this family that had to try to get their way back to Cape Town. So I think that Christians would like to know that the Earth is flat. It would be comforting to them, but I don't think that's necessary. I think it's imperative that if you're going to begin to discuss the flat Earth, that you do so from the standpoint of data and experimentation. I don't think that you should just begin to discuss something that doesn't have any basis to it. So I'm going to propose in this video 3 tests that can be done to determine whether there's whether the Earth that you're living on is a flat Earth or whether it is a curved Earth, a sphere. I watched with interest the other night on Jaronism's channel his test for determining whether the Earth is flat. My hat is off to him for being willing to try and to be willing to try on a live with the live audience. So I'm waiting to hear his results from his test to see what he would have to say. So the first test that I want to point out has been discussed. It's on YouTube right now. Rob Skiba's been talking about it and others. And that's the Anacapa Arch in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's 40 feet above the water line and can be seen from 16 miles away. So that test is out there as a possibility, and I'm hoping that someone will run that test and let us know what their data comes up with. If you're sitting with eye level 5 feet above the water line on the opposite side of the bay, and you are viewing 16 miles away through a theodolite, you should be reading an upward inclined angle of 1 minute and 25 seconds. If you're on a flat Earth, you should read 1 minute and 25 seconds upward to the top of the Anacapa Arch. And if you live on spherical Earth, you will, from 5 feet above the water line, be turning a negative angle of 2 minutes and 23 seconds into the horizon without seeing the Anacapa Arch. So that's what we need for someone to do, is to go to that location on the opposite side of the bay, set up an instrument, a theodolite, 2-second theodolite on the opposite side of the bay, turn the angle, let us know what your results are. One way or the other, the mathematics is simple. It's high school mathematics. There is no college level algebra that's required, college level calculus or spherical coordinate systems, anything other than that. So the test is very simple. Anybody can do it. Anyone in the California, San Francisco Bay Area can easily take a day out to perform that simple test. The second one that I'm going to propose is a line of sight from Signal Mountain, Tennessee, from the top of the mountain on the face of the east side of the mountain, taking a line of sight shot over to the top of Big Frog Mountain, which would be eastward, and it's on the Continental Divide. It's the highest mountain on the Continental Divide, and there's nothing higher than Big Frog Mountain on the west side all the way to the Mississippi River. So a very simple test. Go to the top of Signal Mountain and turn a line of sight over to Big Frog Mountain. If you live in a Cartesian coordinate system and a flat Earth, you're going to turn an angle of 34 minutes and 14 seconds to the top of Big Frog Mountain from Signal Mountain. And if the Earth is a sphere, most of that mountain will be below the horizon. And turning the same angle to the top of the Big Frog Mountain, you will turn an angle of only 0 minutes and 15 seconds to the top of the mountain. So there's only 2 ways that outcome can come out. You would set up your theodolite and you would turn the angle. You will read either 34 minutes and 14 seconds positive vertical angle, or you would read 0 minutes and 15 seconds a positive angle again. There's not another outcome for you to have. So go to Signal Mountain, turn the angle, and see what the actual data will tell you, that it's going to be conclusive. If you were to come up with an angle in between those 2 angles, then the mathematics becomes a lot more complicated, and you would have to do some calculations. The parameter would be that the Earth would be something of a oblate spheroid shape, and you'd have 2 different radiuses that you would have to contend with. The radius that goes around the equator would be one radius, and the radius that goes around the north and south poles would be another radius. So you would come up with something in between those 2 angles, and then in that case the math would be difficult. But to run this simple test, you can go to Signal Mountain and turn some vertical angles. The third test I want to discuss just briefly is the Chicago skyline, being seen from a point on the opposite side of the Great Lake. Obviously, if you get high enough above the horizon, if you get high enough above the shoreline on the east side of the lake, if you get high enough up on the sand dune, for sure you're going to see the Chicago skyline. But the question is, how high above the shoreline do you have to get to see the lower levels of buildings that are sticking up above the horizon there? That again is a simple test. It does not require more than high school mathematics. and I'd leave that to the people in the Chicago area to come up and perform that test. As for myself, I'm going to prepare 5 videos on this subject. My second video will be an explanation of the math for the flat earth and the math for the spherical earth. It's very simple. I will explain that in video number 2. In video number 3, I will go to Signal Mountain, Tennessee, and I will turn the angle to the top of Big Frog Mountain, and I'll check back in with you, and I will let you know whether you're dealing with an angle that's 0 minutes and 15 seconds positive vertical angle, or 34 minutes and 14 seconds of positive vertical angle. So that video should be coming out about the end of July at some point in time. Fourth video would be the Anacapa Arch experiment. I would hope that someone will perform that before I would have to go out there and run the test myself. But if it does get to be September or October and no one has run that test, then I will run the test myself and also report that back in video number 5, in which I will tell you whether the earth is flat or spherical. So I hate to see videos from people who are producing videos without data. I think it's important that we have data. I think it's important that Christians would not be presenting the viewpoint that the earth is flat based on more of a desire rather than having the data to do it. The math is simple and the tests are simple. You don't need to resort to a flat horizon video, and you don't need to resort to a ships going over the horizon video. The math is simple. We now have technology that wasn't available in Copernicus's day. We can turn very precise angles, and that will tell the story. Thank you for watching this video. So I'm going to discuss today 2 experiments for determining whether the earth is flat or round. I'm here at Signal Mountain, Tennessee on Palisades Drive. I'm at National Geodetic Survey marker Sunrise in Sunrise Park on Signal Mountain with a published elevation of 1,838 feet. And behind me is Big Frog Mountain, which is 4,183 feet. We have 10-mile visibility today so that it can't be seen. I've been waiting for 4 days to get a sight on it, and it's not going to happen this trip for me. But if you get 50 miles of visibility, there's 2 mountain peaks that you can see on the horizon. And you can turn an angle to the top of those mountains from this location. You can turn a precise angle with the theodolite of a 2-second accuracy. And there should be no question in interpreting the results. The math is simple. I've shown the calculations attached to this video, and I've shown the graphic. The results can only come out one of 2 ways. If the earth is flat, and if we live in a Cartesian coordinate system, you use the simple laws of trigonometry and geometry from 10th grade mathematics, you come up with a inclined angle of 33 degrees in 33 minutes and 36 seconds to the top of Big Frog Mountain if you're looking out on azimuth 100 degrees. If you are on a curved surface, then you're going to lose 1,430 feet due to the curvature of the Earth, looking out the 45-mile approximately distance to get to Big Frog Mountain. You're going to turn an inclined angle of 13 minutes and 30 seconds to the top of Big Frog Mountain if the Earth is spherical, or if it's curved in this direction. This is an east-west test, so you're going to be looking at the curvature in the east-west direction, approximately 10 degrees off of true east-west. There's another mountain peak at an azimuth of 82 degrees and 46 minutes from here. It's called Oswald Dome. There's also a survey station on top of Oswald Dome, so we know a precise elevation for that peak, and it's 3,022 feet and 45 miles approximately from this point. Again, today we have 10 miles of visibility. We can't see either one of those mountain peaks out there. But the angles that you'll turn to Oswald Mountain are going to be 18 minutes and 7 seconds if you're living on a flat Earth. And if you're living on a curved Earth, you're going to lose 1,229 feet of elevation out in that direction. Due to curvature, you're going to turn an angle of -1 minute and 3 seconds to that location. So those are precise tests. Your instrument measures precisely. My intention is when I turn the angles, I'm going to turn them 24 times, 12 times direct, 12 times with the scope indirect, and reset the base of the tripod 12 times to turn all of those angles. I'm looking forward to doing that and reporting them in the third video of this sequence, of which I intend to do 5. The first test that I had mentioned is the Anacapa Arch, which, as I understand, in the bay out in the San Francisco area, is 40 feet high above the seawater. My understanding is you can see it from a 16-mile distance. So if you are going to turn the angle from 16 miles to the top of Anacapa Arch, which is 40 foot high, you're going to read 1 minute and 25 seconds of an inclined vertical angle. And if you're on a curved Earth surface, you're going to turn a degree of -2 minutes and 23 seconds into the horizon, where you will see water and you will not see the Anacapa Arch. So those are the 2 tests that I've proposed that we have a look at. Feel free to leave any comments that you want, and it'll be probably 2 weeks before I can get back to this location to set up the instrument and turn the angles. Thank you for watching this video.